My sister went MIA a few months ago. I was close with my sister, but we fell off over the years. She isn't involved and gave her child out to my parents. My parents have custody of my niece pre-tween, and she's living with my parents, who feel as though they're getting too old, enough to the point where they can barely take care of her and attend to her needs. I have 2 children already and don't want any more children. My parents invited me over for a sit-down conversation. They explained how it was hard for them to care for my niece due to their age and suggested that I take her in. I declined as they know I have 2 children and don't plan on having more. My parents, mostly my mother, accused me of being selfish and mentioning that I live in a house with 4 bedrooms. She suggested that I turn over one of the bedrooms to my niece. I told her that wouldn't happen as I didn't want more children and didn't want the responsibility of more kids. I suggested that they should give my niece up to foster care or try looking for the girl's mother. My dad agreed to make the search for her mother the priority, and if that didn't go well, they would consider putting the child into foster care. I offered to help with the search, but as I was leaving my parents' house, my mother asked me if I would be able to live with myself if my niece were to get put into foster care. I responded to her by saying, of course I would feel bad, but more kids come with more responsibilities, and that's not something I want in my life. And I just don't feel that adding another one into the mix is a good idea. She proceeded to call me a selfish idiot before walking away. I shrugged it off. Am I the idiot for not wanting to take in my sister's daughter? I couldn't live with myself if I allowed my nephew or niece to live in foster care. However, I find it odd that your mother is putting this on you. Even if it's getting hard on them to take care of her, can they live with sending her to foster care? You are not the idiot since it isn't your responsibility, but you're not exactly the person anyone would strive to be. This sums it up. OP isn't obligated, but it's kinda cold. I would give everything to protect my niece and nephew, and even if I didn't feel that way, I couldn't bear to see them disappear into the system. Lady, she's been abandoned by her mother and now she's about to be abandoned by your parents and rejected by you. Does no one love this poor child? Extended family? Friends? Indeed, someone cares about her. This is heartbreaking. Yeah, mom up and left, grandparents are ready to throw in the towel, and aunt and uncle can't be bothered. What the heck kind of cold weather family is this? You are the idiot, OP. I understand it's hard. I have 2 kids and I don't want more, but I agree with your parents. You are being selfish. How could you let a cousin of your children go to foster care when you can care for her? Your parents would surely help with all 3 children to the best of their ability. It might even be a lighter load for you with that in mind. Why isn't this the girl's dad's problem? Why aren't they asking him? Or are they even trying to find their deadbeat of a daughter first? Or do the grandparents accept that they've taken on responsibility for the kid and raised her? It's funny that you're all so ready to crap all over OP when there are so many other people who have a higher responsibility whom you exempt from that responsibility. OP's parents chose to take on that challenge but seem to be experiencing an acute FAFO scenario due to their age. That's not OP's responsibility. From a moral standpoint, it does seem a little insensitive to condemn an innocent child to the foster system. Still, there are also 2 other people, the biological parents, responsible for this situation, and there doesn't seem to be enough onus being placed on them to get it together. My kid has to sell chocolate-covered almonds as a fundraiser at school. I would rather just give him the amount he will raise, but that isn't allowed. So I told my wife to just pay for 2 boxes out of the petty cash I keep in my office. I will take the almonds to work and give them out to my guys for free. My wife says I'm missing the point and should take my son out to sell the almonds. I think that is ridiculous. I think I have better ways to spend several hours than to harass my neighbors trying to get them to buy chocolate. I told her she could either go out and sell the chocolate or take my money. Now she thinks I'm an idiot because I don't value her free time. She's a stay-at-home mom right now. When our youngest is 2, she'll be going back to work. I work 60 hours a week, not including the commute. Now she wants me to spend hours out selling chocolate. No thanks. My free time is valuable too. Am I the idiot for telling my wife to either take my money or she can be responsible for fundraising? Not the idiot. These fundraisers are complete BS. They combine child labor with the pressure to donate. When I was in school, we did a fundraiser run where we had to get family members to sign documents that would give X amount per kilometer we ran. The money was supposed to go to a new hall for PE. Surprise, surprise, I'm out of school for almost 10 years now, and there are no signs of a new hall yet. It's about spending time with your kid, not making money. You have better things to do for a few hours than parent your child? Sadly, you think your free time is too valuable to spend with your kid. The almonds are an opportunity to teach your kid work and reward for the first time. And you'd rather just hand over the money. Something tells me that your kid is the kind who acts terribly at restaurants, and instead of teaching manners, you use an iPad. Because parenting is hard, and you don't feel like making an effort. You are the idiot and a subpar parent. Your wife is your kid's only hope. I agree. The point is to teach your child. Fundraising sucks, but you're teaching your child life skills. Speaking confidently to strangers, accepting no gracefully, handling money, hard work, and accomplishing a goal for the greater good. None of this is about chocolate. Your wife wants you to spend time with your son. Ignore these idiots. I also work a lot, and using the little quality time I have with my son for running from door to door and bothering people would also be very low on the list of things I would like to do. You were right. Improve your position by pledging to do something else with your kid. No one wants to flog or buy a $10 roll of gift wrap, a $15 box of chocolate-covered almonds, a $20 bucket of frozen cookie dough, etc. The school district my children attended banned these fundraisers a long time ago. I, 30 female, started college last year. During my second semester, I met Phoebe, 19. We were taking 2 classes together and we clicked immediately. We have a lot of the same interests, and she's just such a kind and smart girl. Phoebe was diagnosed with cancer over the summer. She spent a few months in the hospital and now goes for outpatient chemo every couple of weeks. On Thursday, Phoebe called me and said her grandpa was supposed to drive her to chemo, but he never showed up, and asked if I could take her. After her chemo, she fell asleep in the car. I decided to bring her to my apartment to let her rest because she's one of 6 kids at home, and her house is loud and not a good place for recovering from chemo. When we got to my apartment, I woke her up, brought her to the couch and brought her some blankets. She was very appreciative of me letting her stay at my apartment. The thing is, my mom is staying with us and she was supposed to be sleeping on the couch. It totally slipped my mind when I brought Phoebe home. My mom got back and asked why Phoebe was there when she saw her sleeping on the couch. I explained the situation, and she said it was rude of me to give up the couch without asking her. I called my husband and explained the situation, and he picked up an air mattress and extra blankets for my mom, but she's still mad that I gave away the couch for the night. I took Phoebe home Friday afternoon. My husband says he gets why I did it, but he gets why she's upset. Am I the idiot for giving my friend the couch when my mom was staying with us? Edit. Phoebe's family couldn't care less that she's sick. They don't visit her in the hospital, they don't take her to appointments unless they're not working. They don't have plans and they feel like going, they don't make her siblings let her rest. She asked her mom if she was taking her to get a procedure done, and her mom told her they couldn't put their lives on hold just because she was sick again. She shares a room with her young teen sister, and her sister constantly has friends over, and they hang out in her room. Phoebe has come over to nap on the couch before because she can't rest at home. So you promised the couch to your mom and then gave it to someone else and didn't tell her, and then made her sleep on an air mattress instead. It depends on the couch, but 90% of the time a couch is more comfortable, and the friend already has a bed and a place to stay, but you decided she would be more comfortable at your place, a decision you made for her while she was asleep. Of course you're the idiot. A well-meaning one, but your mom obviously has reason to be annoyed. He's gotta hurt mom's pride besides her back. My kid is a baby, but I can't imagine 30 years down the road, he's married and we have a good relationship, and he invites me over and then just forgets I exist. I think I would take it in stride and just jokingly say, dibs on your side of the bed. Hope your husband doesn't mind cuddles. But even if I still have the back of a 20-year-old, then it would probably still hurt my feelings a bit. I'm the same age as OP and my back already sucks. It's a little weird that OP doesn't comprehend at all why her mom is unhappy. People seriously put too much importance on, you forgot about your mom? People get distracted by immediate concerns. This minor lapse says nothing about things overall. This is all mountain out of molehill stuff. My mom would have seen this girl with cancer recovering from a chemo treatment and would have started taking care of her, instead of being mad that I brought her home and let her sleep on the couch. I can't imagine being upset by that. OP's mom is a big idiot. My brother, a young teen, and I, a teen male, lost our dad 10 years ago. Mom married Jared 6 years ago, and after about a year, my mom asked us if we would be okay with Jared adopting us, and maybe changing your last names to his or adding his as a hyphenated last name. I said no, and my brother followed. My mom decided we should discuss it some more in family therapy, and we went for a few months. Then we had no therapy when stuff closed down, and then we returned when in-office therapy was back on the table. Throughout the stay-in-place order, my mom would ask us about our feelings and if we were more open to the idea. Recently, my mom decided to try the divide and conquer way since the therapist mentioned that my brother said no because I was. She tried talking to my brother and he was adamant he would say no as long as I was saying no. Mom then sat me down and asked why I was saying no. She told me she had a few very practical reasons to want the adoption to happen, including protection for us if she were to die so we could stay with her husband. I asked her if that were because she knew I would want my extended family to fight for custody and to live with them. But because she doesn't like them, she wouldn't want that and knew my decision could carry some more weight unless I were adopted first. She denied it initially but then said yes. She then asked me why I was against the adoption. I told her I didn't want another legal dad and did not want the protection being adopted would offer. She then told me about my brother saying no because I was saying no, and she wanted me to agree so he would change his mind. I told her that wouldn't happen and that nothing she said would change my mind. She asked me to encourage him at least to be adopted, and I told her I would not. I did speak to my brother anyway, and he said he doesn't want to do it if I'm not, and it would feel weird to him to be adopted by Jared when I'm not. He doesn't remember our dad, so the attachment isn't a reason for him like it is for me. I told him I wouldn't be mad at him if he said yeah. He said he knew that, but still. Mom and Jared sat me down and asked me again to say yes so he could adopt my brother, and once again, I said no. Mom started to cry and she got really angry with me. Jared said I was at the age where I could be mature and compromise on this. He told me I might not love him, but surely I don't hate him so much that I would rather end up in foster care than in his care if Mom died. He also said I'm putting my brother at risk. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Weird they don't need any of this in case something happens to your mom. It's probably already in her will. Your last name has no bearing on custody plans in case of emergency. No judge is going to chuck you in foster care if you have family who can take you. And you're old enough that you could say to a judge where you want to go. Talk to your family. And is there a grandparent or aunt who your mom listens to who can tell her to knock it off? Maybe a friend. Therapists shouldn't be helping her to try to manipulate you. This doesn't sound like real therapy. If you want real therapy, see if you can access those resources through school. I was manipulated into adoption as a child. It was ugly all round, but my mother threatened my bio dad with all sorts of things and refused to let me see him. She got remarried, escalated her threats, and he severed his parental rights per her request so a new spouse could adopt me. She told me we couldn't be a family if new dad didn't adopt me and a few other things. Almost 40 years later, it still angers me to think about it, and I regret it bitterly. Thanks to her, I have no relationship with my bio dad or new dad. The most important reason not to be adopted is that you're feeling unsure, and you should always trust your gut feelings, especially since you're being manipulated and misled and being used as a tool to manipulate someone else. Build up a relationship with your relatives if you haven't already, dad's side, mom's side, whomever you can find. And tell Jared he's at an age where he should be mature enough not to throw a fit when he doesn't get what he wants. My girlfriend and I had made plans this weekend to go on a double date with my friend and his girlfriend. We planned this for a while and I've paid for our travel costs and the hotel room for the night. Last weekend, my girlfriend had plans to go out with colleagues for a meal and drinks. She said she wouldn't be out too late and only have a couple of drinks after the meal. She ended up staying out all night, which was fine, but the following morning she said she spent more than she expected to and now could no longer afford the double date. She said I'd have to pay for everything, or we'd have to cancel because she couldn't afford it. I was annoyed because she'd known about the plans for weeks and should have budgeted for it. I told her she should have returned when she said she would instead of staying out, and then we wouldn't have this problem. She just said she didn't plan it but that no one else was leaving and people wanted to stay, so she stayed. I just said she should have thought about her other plans and not expect me to pay for her night because she ignored the fact we'd made plans. She said that was unfair and I was wrong for being angry with her. I told her how crappy it was going to look cancelling now just because she decided her colleagues were more important and refused to say no to them. She just repeated that I was unfair and that we didn't have to cancel if I paid for her share of the night. I refused and told her I could lend her the money